Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Dorsey, and I'm with Infinite Scholars. Infinite Scholars does one thing, and we do one thing well. We help send high school students to college. Now, we do this with our network partners of over 400 colleges and universities that participate with us in this initiative. One of the key initiatives that we do is our scholarship fairs. We facilitate 27 scholarship fairs across the country. At any one of our college fairs, we have between 50 and 100 of our elite partners that attend our scholarship fair. So this information session will provide you with information from one of our elite partners that are usually part of our scholarship fair, Edinboro University. Let me tell you a little bit about Edinboro University before we get them started in giving the details. Edinboro University is one of the 14 state schools of Pennsylvania. Edinboro is the furthest west in the state, being located in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. It's just 20 minutes south of Erie, Pennsylvania. Edinboro is about an hour and 20 minutes from Buffalo, New York, about 2 hours from Cleveland, Ohio, and about an hour and 45 minutes from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, centrally located. Okay. Edinboro is a mid-sized institution with about 5,000 students on their campus. The university has over 100 majors to choose from. The most popular of those majors are fine arts, such as animation, graphic design, business, communications, education, and nursing. Tuition, room, board, and fees for an in-state student is around $22,000 a year. For an out-of-state student, tuition, room, board, and fees is about $27,000, with more than 80% of the students receiving financial aid. Students are also automatically considered for merit-based scholarships. Currently, Edinboro is ranked top 10 in the state of Pennsylvania for teacher preparation. The alumni from the Film Studios program have won 6 Emmys in the past decade. Finally, Edinboro is ranked top 25 in the country for game and virtual world major. Today, we're going to hear more about Edinboro University from one of their own, Marissa Rodriguez-Clark, as an Assistant Director of Admissions and Diversity Recruiter for Edinboro University. Marissa, thanks so much for being here with us, providing our students and parents information about Edinboro University.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Dorsey. I'm excited to be here and introduce all of you to Edinboro. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys so we can go ahead and begin the presentation. All right, so Edinboro University, like Dr. Dorsey mentioned, we are one of the 14 state schools of Pennsylvania. There are schools all over the state of Pennsylvania and typically around Route 80 of Pennsylvania. But like I said, we are the furthest west of the system, just south of Erie, Pennsylvania, which is mostly known for being close to Lake Erie. So if anyone's kind of familiar with a little bit of geography, we are closest to Lake Erie and also to a lot going on in the surrounding area, being close to Cleveland, New York, Buffalo, New York, as well as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But we have close to 5,000 students on our campus. Most of our campus is comprised of undergraduate students with about 3,400 undergraduates, and about 1,200 graduate students as well. So not only do we have undergrad programs, but graduate programs too. So I did mention a couple of things about those majors. We have over 100 majors to choose from at Edinboro, but there is a lot going on major-wise when it comes to things. We have a little bit of everything. So we're mostly known for our fine arts majors, which are comprised of graphic design, animation, drawing, painting, sculpting, things like that. Business, communications, and education and nursing are probably some of our top 5 areas, but we also do have speech pathology and audiology, We have all the health sciences that you can think of, so pre-med, pre-dental, pre-vet. We also do have a geosciences major, which is really cool. So if you're kind of interested, not only in environmental sciences, but maybe even to doing a little bit of rocks, learning about rocks and geodes and all that kind of stuff, lots of cool things. But even like in the math department, we have an actuarial science major. We do also have that virtual video game design, virtual world development major that's in our computer science major. So there is a lot going on at Edinboro major-wise, and there's a little bit of everything, which is great. But on the screen, you'll see a little bit of our rave reviews. So we are recognized as one of America's best nursing programs in the East. Our students in our nursing program have a 95% first-time pass rate for the NCLEX exam, which is their national exam that they have to take. And like I mentioned too, our cinema and animation film studies majors have won 6 Emmys in the past 8 years. Top 13 for our animation program and so on and so forth. But the biggest thing to take away from these is that if you decide to come to Edinboro or even try to, kind of consider Edinboro throughout your college search, one of the things that I love about our students and our faculty and staff is that they really are able to take advantage of opportunity because our average classroom size is about 26 students a class. So we really do try to keep things small, very hands-on for students. You do have an assigned advisor to you, and that's in your major. So you're gonna have personal one-on-one attention, which is huge. And that's gonna they're gonna be able to guide you through your time, like I said, at Edinboro. Kind of going along though more and talking about that advisor role, a little bit more of some student support services that we do offer to students. All of our student support services are hosted in our library, in our Learning Commons. And so we do have a career development office, which assists students in trying to get internships, make sure your resume is where it's supposed to be, career advice and career navigation, because sometimes if you're someone who doesn't know what they want to do, that's fine. They'll be able to help you through that, kind of work forward to work backwards. In our Learning Commons as well, we do have our academic success coordinators. So every student, not only are you assigned an advisor, you're also assigned an academic success coordinator. So your advisor is going to be able to help you navigate your area of expertise. So let's say you're going to be a biology major, they're going to help you navigate your careers, what things in biology, things you need to know about the major, all that kind of stuff, research, things of that nature. Whereas your academic success coordinator, they're going to help you navigate making sure that you're taking the right classes, making sure that you're on the right path, but simultaneously that you're also passing your classes, that you're going to class, because we do also take attendance. So that is something to keep in mind, is that you have kind of 2-point people at Edinboro as you start through, from the beginning all the way until the end, until you graduate. We do also offer individual and group tutoring in our Learning Commons. We have a writing center. And then last but not least, we have a global education office right in our Learning Commons as well. So if you are interested in going and studying abroad, you can. You can go for as little as a spring break trip. You can go kind of in the middle if you want to go for a summer trip, which is typically about 1.5 months long. Or you could even go as long as a semester. So we have a lot of different variations of study abroad opportunities available to students. Living on campus is awesome, and I honestly wish I could live on campus as a student, but I'm not a student anymore. I remember I'm a professional, so I can't live on campus, but our students figuratively and literally live the suite life. So we have something called the Highlands. It's 8 buildings, and they're all suite style living. And so you can have 1 person in a suite or up to 4 people in a suite. And there's different variations of the suites. You can have 4 individual rooms that are linked between like a bathroom that's Jack and Jill style between 2 rooms and a common area. You can have 2 people sharing a room in a common space, and then there's 1 bathroom in each room that 2 people are sharing. The biggest pieces with the Highlands is that they are relatively newer to campus, so it's going to be a little bit bigger space. You are going to have air conditioning. In addition, there's no there's private bathrooms only, so that's a really big piece of it for students a lot of the times, because you don't have to share a bathroom with an entire floor. Whereas we do also have traditional housing, which is our Lawrence Towers. And in the Lawrence Towers, it's your double standard 2-person room. You do have communal bathrooms, so you do have 1 bathroom for an entire floor. And actually the Lawrence Towers has been recently renovated, so it is pretty much new. The only difference, like I said, one of the biggest differences between the traditional and the Highlands, in the traditional, you do have that communal bathroom space. But we do offer pet-friendly housing available to students in our traditional housing. So if you wanted to take advantage of that, you absolutely could. And there's a lot of cool things that go on amongst the floors. Students are able to engage, and also too depends on what type of really experience that you want, because they are a little bit different. Being on a communal floor and like in a traditional housing, a little bit different than being in a suite, right? But something we do offer to students is we have living learning communities. So you can live on a floor based off of your major or college that you're in. So for example, if you're in the honors college, you could definitely live with other honors college students. And so it's nice because you guys can kind of go through some similar transition things. For example, like everyone takes the same FYE course, which is your first year experience course that all freshmen have to take, but there's different themes. And so for honors college, there might be a specific theme for that. So again, nice to have some folks with commonalities on your floor, but you don't have to live on those floors. You can live off those floors and a regular floor if you wanted to too. So getting involved on campus, and I really encourage students wherever you decide to go, whether it is Edinboro, another state school of Pennsylvania, or somewhere in California, always be a part of campus and get involved, because this is really what's going to make your experience. This is really how you're going to, network with other people, challenge your thoughts, and really kind of, get exposed to different things. So at Edinboro, we have over 140 student clubs and organizations available to students. We have everything from, academic clubs, like we have a chemistry club that they go and present research to students at conferences every year. So we have clubs like that too. We have special interest clubs, like we have a Harry Potter club on campus, to, cultural organizations as well. I'm actually the advisor for the Latino Student Organization on campus, as well as for our Black Student Union Association on campus as well. So we have a lot of cool things that are always happening. They're always having, get-togethers or events on campus Friday through, all days of the week. So it's definitely easy to get involved and highly recommend it. We also do have 19 varsity sports available. We have 16 NCAA Division II sports. We are Division I in wrestling. We also do have esports as well as wheelchair basketball, both which are nationally ranked, which we're super excited about. So lots of cool things to get involved with. And I should mention too, if you don't want to play D1 or D2 sport, we also do have club and intramural sports too. So you can get involved that way as well. Oops. So how to apply? Applying to Edinboro is very simple. There's a couple ways you can apply. One way is through our own application, edinboro.edu. That application just became available July 1st. And then also too, we are on the Common application, which begins August 1st. So the Common App is a centralized app students can use to apply to multiple schools. And so it's one application, and there's hundreds of schools on the Common App. So if you are not familiar with it, definitely check it out. A couple of things with admissions deadlines, and this is probably the biggest piece. You can probably take one of the biggest pieces you can take away with everything. Although we are rolling admissions, so we do take applications up until the start of the semester. We do have put in some soft deadlines to kind of keep things flowing and keep things going throughout the admissions process. So November 1st is our early action deadline. We are asking students to try and get your applications in by November 1st so you can get early consideration for merit-based scholarships, as well as get early consideration for your financial aid package. Because come October 1st is when the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, that becomes available. So you want to make sure you're getting things done sooner rather than later. And then February 1st of 2021 will be our freshman priority deadline. So that'll be, we are asking students to try to get your applications in by then, so we can keep by that and abide by that May 1 national college deadline. So to give you a sense of what our incoming freshmen class looked like, last year we had 706 freshmen enrolled. Average GPA of a student being enrolled was about a 3.5. Average SAT was about a 10.74, and then average ACT was around a 21. Things will look a little bit different this year, and even come next year, because this year we are going test optional for fall 2021. So for our students, that means that you don't need to submit an SAT or ACT ACT score to be considered for admission. And what we have decided is if you do have at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA, you will automatically be admitted to Edinboro. So that will, without an SAT score or ACT score. So that is something to keep in mind. And I definitely encourage the students, especially if you're looking at these numbers on the screen and you're like, oh, I don't know about my GPA, definitely make sure you're keeping that GPA up going into senior year and throughout senior year, because there's definitely benefits to it. And especially if you have that 3.0, you can get that acceptance letter, which is huge. So that's something to definitely keep in mind as you guys are going through the process. Financial aid, tuition, and stuff like that. So tuition, room, board fees, you'll see on the screen is broken down between PA resident and non-PA resident. So tuition, room, board, everything for an in-state student is a little over $22,000, and for our out-of-state students, it's a little over $26,000 a year. So that is something to keep in mind. Tuition has frozen. The state has frozen tuition for the for next year. Fees might change just a little bit, but nothing too crazy, which we're really happy about. That's always good news. And now you'll see on the bottom of the screen some mentions about scholarships. So our freshman university scholarships, they did range from $1,500 to $4,000. And students, if you're admitted to the university, you're automatically considered for merit-based scholarships. There's no additional application for them or anything along those lines. Scholarships will probably look a little bit different just because we are going test optional. So I would definitely make sure, biggest piece of advice probably is to make sure that you're keeping that GPA up. Even if you have the opportunity to take an SAT or ACT, it might not hurt just because we might not be the only school that might require it, like maybe later on. Some schools might require it for merit-based scholarships. And that might be something we're not just sure just yet, but that's definitely information to come soon. Alrighty, so this is my contact information. So if anyone has questions in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out, even if it's about general admissions questions or general admissions process questions, because it's overwhelming, but we definitely want to make sure it's a fun experience. It's an easy experience. We're here to make this process as easy as possible for you. So thank you.
Okay. All right, Marissa, thank you so much for providing all of that information. There's a couple of things that I wanted to just ask you to follow up with you on that too. I took a look at the slide that had the application, dates and start dates and deadlines and things of that nature. So just reassured our students. So if you filled out an application earlier, the test scores weren't where they needed to be, and you were planning to take a test again, you can continually update the application with transcripts and new test scores and things of that nature?
Absolutely. So I actually encourage it. If you have any updated information at any point in time, you can send that to us, and it doesn't penalize you whatsoever. If anything, I'm kind of like a little cheerleader. I love seeing updated scores, updated GPAs, anything along those lines, and we will take those at any point. So let's say, for example, a student submits their test or their transcript and they have a 3.0 come October 1st, but then in December, they got their second semester or first semester grades and they raised it up to a 3.3, absolutely send that in, because that's definitely bent to your benefit. Yes. All
right then. Okay, perfect. We know for a fact that at a typical college, everybody that applies doesn't necessarily get in. So could you tell me what is your admissions rate, the percentage of students based on who apply and who gets in?
Sure. So we do have about an 88% acceptance rate. So it's a little bit high, but at the end of the day, typically we try to do things on a very holistic approach when it comes to, reviewing a student. So even too, like we mentioned before with that, updated piece, if you have updated test scores, if you have updated GPAs, definitely send that to me. And that's something that, we in admissions, we are here to help you with and kind of help you navigate that process.
Okay. So speaking of that, once students get in, we know that a student is more successful and likely to finish if they finish that first year. What is your freshman retention rate?
Our freshman retention rate is around 76%, and it's actually increasing, which we're really excited about. Because when I started at Edinboro, it was a little bit lower than that. But with our new VP that we got when I actually started at Edinboro, they've done an excellent job with really kind of focusing on student retention, meeting student needs and all that kind of stuff, which is why we changed that academic success piece and making sure that students are meeting with their academic success coordinators and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Then consequently, we're in, we get in, we make it through the first year, we make it through graduation. Okay. And so it may have been on the slide and I may have missed it. So what is the graduation rate?
Sure. So our 6-year graduation rate probably it goes with along our national the national trends, which is around like I think it's 50%, 55, 56%.
Mhm.
Graduation rate is a little bit lower than that, around like I would say probably 40%. So it's something that we as an institution do recognize that we do need to improve, which is why we've definitely changed a lot of our policies, especially when it comes to, looking at retention, kind of getting students along with their career development office and trying to get them into internships and all of that kind of stuff. Because again, we do have a lot of majors that are very well placed and postgraduate. So it's definitely a big thing for us.
Okay. Actually, that leads me to my next question. Can you tell me about the internships that the students have available, and some of give me an idea, some of the give us an idea of some of the companies that would participate in the internships?
Sure. So our career development office is one of the main areas that our students are able to go to find internships. And so what's great is they help students with the application process. They help them even with like interview questions, all that kind of stuff. And what's even neat is that we actually have an online hub called Tartan Edge, where students can continuously look for not only internships, but even as a postgrad, they can actually see jobs posted. And it's exclusively for Edinboro current students and alumni. So it's called Tartan Edge, which is really great. And then also too, our advisors, the students' advisors and our faculty really do an excellent job with staying connected and well networked within their fields. For example, our art department, especially for our animation students, that during the summer they go to California and get with our alumni, and so they actually build, not only are continuing those relationships with our alumni that are in California with those animation companies, but they also too try to get new leads of where students can get involved and also get that internship experience. So for example, some companies, I had a geoscience student that worked with the Game Commission of Pennsylvania. We've had students do internships really all over, like across the country. Our PA students have done internships with hospitals such as Cleveland Clinic. Same thing right here in Erie, being close to Erie at Hammett Hospital, and even gone down to Pittsburgh. So those are just some examples, and I'm kind of blanking out a couple of other ones, but they've gone really all over the place. And some even two majors, I will tell you, like our business school has actually an internship coordinator right in their college, just because business, you have to have an internship, right? You have to get experience. It's all about networking. So they do assist them with all of that.
Okay, perfect. One of the things that we've been talking to some of our partner schools about is their study abroad program, and it's the opportunity for the students to study abroad. Does Edinboro have one? And if they have one, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so we have a global education office that actually assists students with going to study abroad. And I honestly encourage studying abroad. It's probably one of my biggest regrets that I had from not going abroad during my undergrad. But students have gone all over the place. We've had students go to China. They've gone to South America. They've gone over to Japan. I think we had another student in Japan. We've had a couple students go obviously to Edinboro, Scotland, which is really neat. And then like in the summer, they can do there's a trip that goes, I believe it's to Italy, France, and I think they stop in Germany. So they do like a month and a half trip and go to 3 different countries. they have a lot of opportunity. And what I love about our study abroad programs is students can go for as little as a week. Like we have a spring break trip in the Dominican that students can go for a week, or you can go as long as a semester. So you don't have to necessarily, you know, limit yourself to only going for a semester, because sometimes that kind of freaks students out for being gone for a whole semester. But you have opportunity with that. Plus, the Global Education Office helps make sure that your paperwork is in line. They make sure also too that it's affordable, because there are scholarships and things like that available.
Okay. We knew so we talked about abroad. So we knew that the number of students that are in there. So let's talk about your diversity. Do you have a contingent of international students? What does the diversity rate at Edinboro look like?
Sure. So out of about 4,600, 5,000 students we have on campus, about 14% is our students of color. So that includes, you know, Black students, Latino students. It also does include our international students as well. Since I've been at Edinboro, that number has continually grown, which is awesome to see. It is predominantly, I will tell you, a PWI, but what I love about our community is that we are a very tight-knit community. We always are supportive of one another. I work a lot in conjunction with our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. Patrina Marrero is our director for that, and she's phenomenal. So we kind of tag team together all of the time. So I kind of work with the students as they come in, and she kind of works with the students as they get to campus, and help them acclimate and, you know, acts as a resource. And we both are there for students, you know, throughout their 4 years, which is great.
All right, then. Students getting that kind of support, does that support extend to the fact that we typically have a lot of students who are first generation students, and so their parents may have questions too. So when the student is assigned a specific advisor or whatever that's familiar with their case, that will be able to work with the student and their parent to help with the transition from this first year even to the second year to our graduation?
Yes. So surprisingly, we have a very large first generation student population on campus. And so we actually started a whole campaign called I'm First. And so what they are able to do is not only recognize faculty and staff amongst the campus that are first generation, so students can kind of connect, because sometimes when you're first generation, you don't necessarily know. And on top of that, it's a level of comfort, right? And wanting to engage with that student. And so not only do we kind of identify all the faculty and staff that are first generation, but also too, it extends beyond that, and making sure that parents understand, you know, the student understands what's going on. For example, like with financial aid. Like I was first generation and my parents didn't know what financial aid was and all that kind of stuff. So we do help them through all of that, and making sure that they are aware of the resources. A lot of the times though, students get quiet, and I always encourage my students, don't get quiet. If you don't know something, ask. You know, my door is always open, so come on over and see me.
Okay, fine. You know, you talk about the students getting quiet and being able to communicate. Can you tell me, and if I missed it on the slide, then I apologize, what is about the classroom size? What is the student to faculty ratio?
Yeah, so classroom size is about 26 students a class, and our student to faculty ratio is about 16 to 1. So we do try to keep things on the smaller scale. Now, we do have some classes like Psychology 101 is a very popular class, right? So it's going to be in a little bit of a larger lecture hall, but even that is no more than like 70 students. So we do, like I said, try to keep things on the smaller scale.
Okay, all right. But so I think that I'm probably about out of time for all the questions that I wanted to ask. Is there one thing that you wanted to be able to tell our parents and students that maybe that you forgot, or reiterate something and then be able to provide the contact information again?
Sure. So, you know, if throughout the process, enjoy it. It is going to get stressful at times, but make sure you're communicating. Make sure that, you know, I'm a big fan of pro-con lists. So make sure you're writing down all of those questions, and make sure you're asking questions, because really admissions offices, especially me, we're really here to help students navigate that process. Even if it's a mom, aunt, uncle, whomever, I'm always willing to talk to anybody about any questions they may have. But if you're interested in Edinboro University, you can contact me, Marissa Rodriguez Clark, directly at Edinboro, or at mrodriguez@edinboro.edu, or call me at 732-0156.
Okay, all right, perfect. Marissa, thank you so much today for being with us and providing us all the information that we needed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Dorsey. I appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.